Welcome to this edition of Morgan You Asked For podcast. Wednesday, the 28th of May. Just started the second half. Oklahoma City's up by almost 40. Almost 40, 30, 37 points right now on Minnesota. So it looks like they will be going on. Probably the kiss of death right there for Oklahoma City, but that's all right. Last day of school here for the Atomo Bulldogs and the Pella Dutch. I have to go back to work tomorrow. I do have to work tomorrow. But then, as Brett always says, it's a whole bunch of Saturdays in a row.
Yeah, I think Brett's got one day left. All the teachers are finishing up. So, yeah, I'm a little bit jealous of all you guys that, you kind of get your 3-month break now.
Well, the next 10 days for me are going to be insane because I'm moving. So my summer break isn't going to start really until give me all of next week into that weekend and then maybe even start of the next week. So it's really going to be an all summer process, getting everything where I need to be and then do a few things to my house and Laura's house and then try to get them rented out. So I think that is going to be the plan now. So my summer is just beginning but you got to have something to do or else you just waste your summer away anyway.
Well, I left right in time, so hopefully I don't have to help you move right now.
No, I did. We've gotten older, and that's what Laura's brother Eric said the same. They just moved. They literally moved down the street, and he still hired the same company we helped move. Because he goes, we're all too old, and we all have a little bit more money now, and you can pay for a mover. You don't need us to help move everything.
It's not worth it. Just hire it out. They're worth every dollar.
Well, it is. They helped me move into this house and it was I think I paid them like $500 and it was worth every dollar. I think this one's gonna be a little more because we got more stuff for everything. I think we figured out it's gonna be about $1,100, but I still think I don't have to touch a couch. That's gonna be beauty of it.
Figure out how to get out the doorway and down the steps and around the corner. There's nothing I don't think there's much worse than moving heavy objects around a house.
Yeah, it's insane, but it'll be good. So next week we'll have to figure out when we're going to do it. Wednesday night's not going to be the best night for me, so maybe Monday or Tuesday, get it done early in the week, and then we'll go from there. And then eventually, I've got ideas to make kind of almost like a studio thing down in the basement, but it's going to be a little bit before that's done too. So eventually, we'll have a nice setup down there. And we'll get it taken care of. But so exciting week for me. Kids are getting excited. Everybody gets their own room and everything. So and then towards the end of June, early July, we'll have to have a party, whatever. Have a party.
Yeah, no, that'd be good. Once you get moved in, your studio. Looking forward to seeing that, and we'll come back and visit and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, no, you should get a little studio going.
Yeah, there's a little area in the basement that I think I can make like an office / studio. I think that's kind of the plan. So I've got some things to hang up and just different things. So here it didn't really work so well. I thought about doing it, but then it got to the point where now we're going to move and like there's no point in doing it. So it'll be fun. So we'll get that done, and then. We're kind of in the slower time of year. We're still going to do this once a week. That's the kind of the beauty of Steve having us do this on his show. It does make us do it. Not a lot to talk about. We do want to talk about our friend and, obviously friend of the podcast, and he does help us out. We'll have to have him on. We'll try to have him on next week, actually, just to talk about his run here. They did finish 5th place today at the state tournament. I know he would say it wasn't their best showing, but, he still got 5th in the entire state in golf as a team. And so just a great job. Sigourney Savage boys golf team, 5th in state. I think 2 seniors, and then the other 4 all come back. His son, Jordan, is a freshman, played really well. I had a pretty good round today. Didn't play as well yesterday, but as a freshman, played real well, was a real big contributor for him. Looking forward to a next three great more years for him.
Yeah, 5th place as a team is pretty impressive. And literally what they're doing, I mean, it kind of is once in a lifetime opportunity because high school, you only get one chance through that, and to make state, not everybody gets to do that. So that's a special moment for them. Congrats to Zach, the entire team. Jordy, like you said, you say Jordy's a freshman, so he's got 3 more years left. That's awesome. I mean, I'm sure they're going to be good every year. Knowing Zach, he's a good coach. I mean, he'll probably have that team ready to roll. They're not gonna lose any ground, even though they're losing a couple seniors, like you said.
Yeah. Their top 2 players are definitely back. Jordan was number 2, and then Solon Yates, Judge Yates' his son, does a great job as well. Led him as a junior this year, so he got one more year of that top 2. And I'm pretty sure their third golfer was an underclassman as well. So, and then I don't know where it was, but I think their top 3, or how they played. I shouldn't even say their top 3, but how they played 1, 2, 3, which doesn't always mean that's how you do it. But we're all underclassmen, so just great opportunity there for the Sigourney Savages.
Yeah, no, like I said, congrats to them. That's awesome. That's not everybody gets to go to state. I mean, you got to earn that. So that really is a special moment for them, for Zach, Tiff, the whole family, and Jordy's got a few more years. So that'll give us something to pay attention to.
Yeah, that'll be fun. And I know Brett, obviously this year didn't go as well for him as it has, but I mean, he's been dynamite the last few years, and he lost a lot of seniors last year. But I know he's got some prospects coming up. He'll return right to form. I no doubt about that in my estimation. He's a really, really good golf coach and knows how to get it done there. And, as long as the boys, put in the time in the summer, they'll be right back where it is. And, I lost a really good senior class, but I've got some prospects coming as well. So we shouldn't fall off too much. And then, if we're getting a couple opportunities there. Tumble Country Club did hire a club pro. I think that's going to help us a lot. He's doing a few more things that we've done in the past, and hopefully starting at that younger age and getting some stuff in there in the upcoming years, that'll be beneficial for us as well. And I know here at Oskaloosa, they're doing a couple more things than they've done with youth golf, trying to help teams out. So just the more opportunities for kids to play will help all of us.
Yeah, I've seen you post some things about golf clinics and some other people posting that, so that's good. And then one quick question for you: do they do fall golf anymore? Is that a thing, or is that over?
So our boys, I coach our boys too. We're in the fall, so yeah, we'll start right when football starts. Our season is kind of August, September, October. So the 4A boys play in the fall. There was a proposal, and it went through, and it was going to be all boys were going to go to the fall, which I think would have been a really good idea. It would have really hurt, like Zach's team. It would really hurt that team because, with Sigourney Kyoto being a football hotbed and really good. Now, I don't know how much, a couple of those boys don't play football, but some of them do, and it's hard. You can do both. We've had people do both in a tumble and be very successful with both. But it is hard, and it takes commitment, and then it takes collaboration between your coaches, and sometimes that's easier said than done.
Yeah, I remember, when we were in high school, some sports overlapped each other, and it all depended on the coaches if they were okay with that, if they weren't. My theory was always, if an athlete's doing 2 sports, they're working their butt off probably. So it seems like a good thing. I wouldn't push back on it, but some coaches do, I guess.
And I've been there, but I'm going to throw some coaches under the bus here, but in my experiences, track and football coaches aren't very understanding. So golf, we kind of, and I understand it a little bit. Golf is a little bit more flexible. Obviously, we need you for the meets, but you don't have to practice golf from 3 to 5 o'clock or 4 to 6, whatever you want to say. You can go before school. You can go, obviously in the spring, it's a little bit different, but, on August 20th, when you're at football practice, if you're done at 6:30 or whatever, you can go hit balls for an hour. Again, you're tired after football practice. So it takes commitment, and then, you need to get up in the morning and go hit balls at 7 o'clock in the morning. I mean, that's, you take the bucket from the range and you put it in your car and you go there early in the morning, maybe before it's actually open, but you just do it. And that's what needs to happen. Michael Wietrich from Ottumwa was an all-state football player and won a state title team, so it can be done. I mean, it takes talent and takes hard work, but it can be done. And the biggest thing is the meets. You're going to miss practice that day when you have a meet. And then on some of the bigger meets, I know he didn't play one of the football games because he's playing in the state golf tournament. It's just the way it is, and you live with it. So,
yeah, my thinking, if I was a coach, I'd be okay with it under most circumstances, I think. Yeah. But because if they're practicing both sports, like I said, they're probably working really hard. Good athletes, I mean, it takes a dedicated person to do both. So I think I'd be okay with it. But yeah, I kind of remember some coaches pushing back a little bit on that.
Yeah, everybody says they'll work together until it actually comes time to sit down and make the schedule. And they can't come to this meet or they can't come to this practice. No, we have our conference meet that day. We're taking them. Oh, well, that I don't know about that. And then it just puts the kid in a horrible spot.
Right.
And I just tell them, I go, I had a couple girls that I'm like, I will fight for you if you want to, but you have to tell them too you want to play golf. And they went and ran track. So.
No, that's a tough one, I guess, as coaches. Everybody's in a difficult spot. But no, back to Zach. Hopefully, sounds like they had a fun year. Probably be good next year, I'd imagine. Like I said, as you said, Jordy's coming back as a freshman. So
yeah, they're going to be. I think Zach posted. They set several school records this year, and it's just. I know Jordan. I think Jordan won the sectional or district. I don't know how they do it in the smaller classes. They have more than one round. I think he shot one under. That's got to be close to a record, I would think, for a state qualifying meet or whatever. Yeah,
no, absolutely. So, no, good for them. And then I know the next thing we had on the list tonight was Tyrese Hailiburton. We talked a couple weeks ago, and I said, yeah, he could maybe be one of the 10 faces of the league next year. Well, he is now. That's officially happened. You got LeBron and Steph. Those are the two most famous. We already know that. That's a given. But whatever that next tier is, whatever names you have, Hailiburton has to be in that next tier. What he's done these playoffs, it's one of the most remarkable playoff runs. I'm kind of a casual, but that I can think of.
Oh, what he did last night was unbelievable. It was, he almost had a triple-double in the first half.
Yeah.
And then with no turnover. That's the key. I can't remember. I don't remember if it was the Rush this morning or Miller and Condon. One of the shows I listened to is like, he's the face of the four teams that are left. He's the face. Yes, SGA is the MVP, and Edwards might truly be the best player, or most marketable player right now. But the face of this playoffs right now, or the teams left, is him. And it's really not close. SGA he's a great player, but it's him. He's not flashy. He doesn't have the big smile like Hailiburton does. He doesn't have triple doubles. Now, he goes off and he has really good games, but he's not the point guard. That's what it comes down. He can be. He plays it a little bit, but he's the
free throw merchant, as they call him.
What?
He's the free throw merchant, as they call him.
Yeah, he drives and gets fouled, and it's crazy what he does, and it's great. He's fun I'm watching him right now. It's on, and Caruso's fun to watch, and their defense is just unbelievable. He just stole it, went down and dunked it, and probably really got fouled. I don't think it was a call, but their defense is unbelievable. That's really what it comes down to. Caruso's just a pest, and then they just keep bringing. They have Holmgren in the middle, and that's a good backup always to have.
Yeah, when I saw Hailiburton's, I didn't watch the game really, but when I saw his stat line, I was like, "Is that correct?" it looked like it was a misprint or something. I mean, I was like, really? Did he do that? And the 0 turnovers too. I mean, that's never happened before, right? To have that stop with 0 turnovers.
No, I think they said the Big O was the last one. Oscar Robertson was the last one to do something even similar, and I don't think anybody had done it in the playoffs. And it was, it was 30 points, it was 15 assists, and then 12 rebounds. I think he said, the craziest thing is the 12 rebounds because he doesn't rebound.
Well, maybe he needs to work with Caitlin Clark on turnovers a little bit and securing the basketball. No, but I mean, in all seriousness, that's amazing to have 0 turnovers, to have a game like that and not just, one random bounce of the ball go the wrong way. To have 0 turnovers is pretty amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it is, the 0 turnovers. And this is where the last couple of years, Iowa State's probably had their best teams, but sometimes it's a little frustrating because the point guard does turn it over. When we went from, DeAndre Kane to Monty Morris to Tyrese Hailiburton, kind of all one right after the other there, they never turned the ball over, ever. And now every once in a while we get a game or two where our guards have more turnovers, and it's just frustrating for Iowa State fans because we're not used to that. I mean, Monty Morris has the NCAA record, or at least did when he left. And then Hailiburton, a few years later, just never had turnovers.
No, it's really impressive. And then, of course, you had Pat McAfee going off. Did you see the video of him calling out all the Knicks, the famous Knicks player, or the people that were at the game and all that?
I didn't, but I've watched McAfee a lot this week. With Irsay passing away, his really heartfelt, admiration for him. And, Irsay had his demons and had his troubles, and he admitted that. But I think he did really try to help people, and he helped McAfee a lot when he started. And that's the beauty of people that have monies and have resources, is to help people that when they need the help. I mean, obviously McAfee doesn't need any help now. He makes a lot of money himself, but he needed that push or that little backing. And I think the best thing he said is, if that doesn't work, you can come work for the Colts. So he might not even have given him money, but he had the backing to say, hey, if this doesn't work, I can go get a job with the Colts. So I can go all in, I can go all out, and then knowing he still has a job. And that's the comfort and the assurance in that is really, really nice. And I'm very lucky that way too. I kind of have that with my family. We've been very blessed and very lucky that, my great grandma and grandpa had farms way back, and that's helped our family in the long run. And there's just always that security there. And it is very, very nice and appreciated. And that's what he gave to a lot of people. And I know we had this discussion here when I was stuck in Indianapolis during that horrific flight over Christmas, when someone died on the plane and I was stuck in Indianapolis. Just a little bit around Indianapolis, it had one of Irsay's collections of like Beatles stuff and rock and roll stuff. And McAfee was talking about that. And that was just in the Indianapolis airport for everybody to see. And I think he did that all over the city and all over the state of Indiana.
Jim Irsay gets a really bad rap, in my opinion. He had some demons, whatever most people do probably in life. He was a great guy. He gave a lot of money, did a lot of things for the community, tons of people. I mean, everybody that knows him personally that I've listened to has nothing but amazing things to say about him. He was a really giving guy, and he was big into music too.
Yeah. I think I heard, I don't know if it was a Beatles guitar or maybe a Grateful Dead guitar that somebody wanted it and was going to like keep it in their collections, but no one would ever see it. So he said bought it just because then he would put it out and everyone could see it. He didn't need it, didn't really want it, but he's like, this should be in a museum or some in collection to travel around, so everybody can see this.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you brought him up. It was one thing I was thinking about texting you because we kind of tried to figure out what we're going to talk about. each week on this. And Jim Irsay was one I left off, but I'm glad you brought him up because he was probably a misunderstood icon in NFL history.
Yeah, and you can say what you want. He got his family handed it down to him. He wasn't the original. He didn't make the money, but he was in charge of the Colts during their best time. Now some of it is, you draft Peyton Manning and you get Marshall Faulk and you get Marvin Harrison, and that's a good start there. And but he writes the check and he makes the deals, and also I think what he did right by the Colts as well. He knew it was time for Peyton Manning to go, and he drafted Andrew Luck, and that didn't go as long as they would have liked to, but he was really good, and that was the right decision. That was the correct football decision for the Indianapolis Colts. And I don't think people get enough credit to the Colts for doing that.
It was a tough decision for sure, but you're right. It was the right one because people didn't know if Peyton Manning would really be able to play again with that neck injury and everything going on. Andrew Luck is, one of the best prospects to ever come out of college. So it was the right move. And yeah, Jim Irsay, I think I read something one time where he, when he was younger, he worked odd little jobs with the team. He was in the locker room folding towels. He did it all. He kind of worked his way up from the very beginning. So a really giving guy. And like I said, kind of a misunderstood person in the history of the NFL.
Yeah. And I think his daughters have all kind of had different jobs with the Colts. I think one of them is going to kind of be the lead of it. But they've all done their certain parts of the Colts. So it's not like they went off and did something else and now just coming back in. That's kind of been their life. And they've all kind of worked their way up. And that's, how you should run any business. It doesn't matter if it's running a football or if it's a plumbing company or contracting company. And you don't just sit in the office from day one. You go out and do it. And then you get the big office.
Speaking of how to run a company, I guess we can transition to.
Right. Before we started here, I do want to see this. I don't know. You can see this. There are 84 people watching this right now, and I do want to thank them. There's 83 people watching on Twitter, and then one person on Facebook. That might be a high for us. So those of you that are watching, we thank you. I don't know how to comment on this thing. It says I can see comments here, but I don't know. If you're able to comment on something, please do so I can see it. Maybe. I don't know. I'm not smart enough to figure any of this out.
I'm not either.
But if you're able to, or if you're on Twitter, I don't think you can comment if you're on Twitter. I'm pretty sure because it's not like a professional page or something. But if you do, retweet something to us and we can see it. And maybe we'll talk. I'll look here and we can talk about something. Taylor, if you're watching, comment and maybe we'll talk about WWE for 1 second. But I know this is your big topic, and I agree. And I'm going to name this Caitlin Clark injury, and then the WNBA plummets in ratings and ticket prices. I mean, that's kind of – I don't know how I'm going to word it for sure, but that's going to be the name of this podcast because 71 to 75% immediate, plummet in ticket prices. The Mystics tonight did beat the Fever in a big arena. I didn't see any of it. Was it half full? Was it a quarter full? Do you know? And then the big one coming up, it's going to the United Center against Chicago. I do feel bad for the people that bought tickets and paid a lot of money to go do this stuff, and she's not playing. But at least it's an injury and you're out 2 weeks. They know this. It's not load management and just taking a day off, anything else like that.
Yeah, I think it's her first missed game since she was a sophomore in high school or something. I thought I saw. So it's not load management, of course. It's a real injury, which sucks. It's disappointing. I saw she signed autographs for like 15 or 20 minutes before the game or something because she knew, a lot of people were there to watch her and she couldn't play. So that was good of her to do that. The Fever per being out, let's call it 6 games is what I was guessing.
Yep.
It's the same thing when a quarterback goes down in the NFL. Can your backup keep you around 500? So for the Indiana Fever, can they go 3-3 during this stretch without her. I think that's kind of the goal. If they can go 3-3, it keeps them right in the middle of the pack. But they lost tonight, so they're 0-1 now during the stretch. But that team's talented enough, and part of the reason you bring in all this talent, obviously, is to go chase a championship, but it's also to be able to deal with injuries to any player on the team. So the Indiana Fever, there's really no excuses. They really need to go about 500 while she's out.
Right.
And then, the ticket prices plummeting. That's a whole nother thing. I mean, I saw something on the Chicago Sky tickets. That's a few weeks from, or a few games from now. And, of course, with Angel Reese, she says a lot of people are there to watch her as well. And the ticket prices are plummeting. So it appears that's not true. And then, like we talked about 1 or 2 weeks ago, whenever it was, the WNBA doing their investigation after that game in Indianapolis was a complete and utter joke. The WNBA, the Indiana Fever, the Chicago Sky, they all made asses of themselves. And I don't know what you do with that, but they fell into a trap, and it's pretty disappointing to see that, especially after that first game where Indiana looked amazing. Caitlin Clark had a triple-double. DeWanna Bonner moved into the third all-time in scoring. And to let that overshadow that great moment is pretty disappointing. But that's what you get with the Mickey Mouse League, in a league that's not serious yet about making money.
Yeah, I think I saw where Chicago, the cheapest ticket before the injury was $86, and now it's like $24. The biggest thing now is they are going to have to – they have a golden goose, and they've been slow to recognize that. And we talked about it a couple weeks ago that they did admit that she is the one. And this is going to prove it right now. The Washington Mystics and the Chicago Sky and any of the other teams that moved games because of the Fever coming, you're going to see it right now. Like, I don't know. I should look what the attendance was tonight. This is proving that it is not the Fever. It is not the WNBA. It is Caitlin Clark that delivers the attention. And these 6 games or whatever it's going to be are going to prove this. And then her corporation or, her team needs to sell this and needs to go right to the WNBA and say, all right, I need this. And the WNBA needs to listen.
Yeah, if they were smart, but they're not. That's why I said last week they need. I always use Roger Goodell as an example, but they need a strong figure like that, a dictator, as we call it. They need someone to come in. It sounds really corny, of course, but you watched Yellowstone. When John Dutton gets selected mayor and he walks in that room and says, "You're all fired," or governor. That's what they need. I mean, just get those people out there. They're not serious. They fed into social media bullying, I guess, what I would call it, and they all made asses of themselves. And it's an unserious league, but when you get bailed out for 27 or 28 straight years, I guess you don't have to be serious. So it's nothing's really changed in my opinion. Them admitting Caitlin Clark is a draw, putting them on TV a lot, that's the bare minimum. That's like telling your kids you love them. Yeah, you're supposed to. So I don't really. I just the WNBA continues to fumble this thing, and they did it again. I was surprised they even put out a statement. I was shocked that they did that.
Well, I think they needed to, because there was starting to be some wonderment on what was actually going on. There was a lot of people there that said nothing happened, that they didn't hear it. I shouldn't even say nothing happened. No one heard anything. And they're just going out. You can say something on social media and the WNBA believes it. And that's all that was. And so, nothing was founded. And that's a good thing. We talked about this. If something was said, action needed to be taken. Absolutely. But it's just super unfortunate that it always comes down to race, in the WNBA right now. And it's kind of sad.
Yeah. And it's all led back to one person, Angel Reese. She plays the victim. She said last year she was willing to be the villain of the league. Those were her words. And now that she is the villain, she doesn't like it. I understand during that game she was getting booed, or Indiana Fever were cheering when she missed a shot. I'm sure it was probably shocking to her because usually she plays in front of 1,800 people, not 18,000. So I'm sure it was a eye-opening experience for poor little Angel Reese, but she brought this upon herself, and she deserves every bit of what she's getting right now. She's not a victim. She said it last year. She would be the villain. And then part of being the villain is being the villain. You're going to get booed. You're going to get cheered when you miss shots. I mean, Dennis Rodman, Draymond Green, some of these guys that played basketball over the years, they were okay with being the villain.
Yep.
But if you are going to be the villain, you've got to be okay with that. And she clearly isn't.
And then I think the other thing that's probably frustrating her is, and maybe the WNBA, she's not as good as she thinks she is, or the people, she's just not that good. She is big, and she gets a lot of rebounds, but her percentage of rebounds off her own shots are a lot. And I do think that is weighing on her and the Sky and the WNBA. They're realizing she's not going to maybe not be able to be in this league forever or very long at all if she doesn't improve.
Yeah, my guy that I like listening to, Nick Wright, said she's a super famous rebounder. She's the best rebounder in the league, there's no doubt about it, but she's awful shooting, decision-making, handling the basketball. I thought I saw some stat today, and I didn't look it up to see if it was true or not, but LeBron James has a better chance of making the NBA Finals than Angel Reese does making a shot. No, I don't know if that's true. Like I said, I didn't look it up, but it's probably true, though. If it's not true, it's at least close. So she's a great rebounder. There's no doubt about it. But she got fed by so many people, the media, whatever, and her ego just got boosted. But she is not that great of a player. I mean, she's a great rebounder. That's about it.
Yeah, and I think that the realization is coming to her that is, and it's hard for her because she's always been really good. And I don't want to discourage that or whatever, but she had really good players around her at LSU. When she was at Maryland, no one knew who she was. And the reason everybody knows LSU is because of the coach. It's not really the team. And then they made one heck of a run and won it all. I mean, that is awesome. But she had other really good players with her. And, and then the next year, they got beat by, Caitlin Clark the next year. So it's unfortunate, but it's the reality. And these 2 weeks are just going to be so telling. I want to see their TV numbers. I want to see the ticket prices, and then just the true attendance. I mean, those three things. And then when she comes back, what it jumps right back to. I mean, it's now here's another thing that, I get you, like you said, she did the autographs. So she traveled with the team, and she was there because she does know that her being there, at least, everybody can say she saw her, and she can do her same autograph time when she was playing, so she can still give the same amount of time to the fans, and that is good on her. That's good on the WNBA. That's good for the Fever, and that's good for her personal brand to still do that. Don't kid yourself. That's personal as well. The State Farm commercials pay a lot of money. The Hy-Vee pay a lot of money. The Gatorade, the Nike. And I want to ask you this. Why is Nike so slow in giving her a shoe and commercials compared to Gatorade's putting her front and center on their Gatorade commercials? State Farm, I love the new logo commercial. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's a good one.
It's leaning right into it. And then, a State Farm guy paints a logo everywhere, and it's very clever. And Nike was always known to have great commercials, and they're just not doing it with her. They're not. I mean, I will be honest, they're not doing it with anybody. I don't see the Nike commercials like I used to.
I don't have an answer for you because I've seen headlines or posts about it, but I've never really read into it. So it's one of those things I just don't know.
I don't either.
It could be for a variety of reasons. I'm not sure on that. But yeah, you're right. Gatorade, State Farm, they're all doing the commercials nonstop. And like you said, that State Farm commercial is really good. The logo one, I like that one a lot. Why Nike hasn't done anything, or maybe I'm misinformed because, like I said, I don't know. I really haven't read into it. I just see headlines. I'm not sure why that is, but you would think that Nike would be all over that, given she's, LeBron, Nick Wright and Colin Cowherd talking about this, and they were talking about the most famous basketball players in the world. And they said LeBron and Steph, and then was Caitlin Clark third, or Kevin Durant. But that's who they were arguing with. So she is one of the most famous athletes in the world right now. So you would think Nike would be doing something. And maybe they are behind the scenes. Maybe they're playing it slow, and then they're going to have some big, shoes and posts and commercials. Who knows? Maybe that's coming, though.
Yeah. Travis and Ross, The Rush in the mornings, I love those guys. They're great. Listen, that's a really good podcast. State in the mornings, if anybody wants to listen to that. It's sports topics, but they go off on tangents. It's awesome. But they're about my age. They're 45 to 53 or whatever. I think that's the two ages of them. In their lifetime, the top three marketable athletes are Michael Jordan, Tiger Woods, and Caitlin Clark. He goes, it's really not close. Because even Steph and LeBron aren't like the face. Like, it's still Michael Jordan's the biggest basketball still today. If you had to ask the marketing companies, is it LeBron or is it Michael? It's probably still Michael.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And then Tiger, there's no one like Tiger. Tiger and Michael are the two biggest, and it's really not. And then Caitlin is right there because, like, everything she touches turns to gold. And those three, Michael's 6-0 in the playoffs or in the finals. Mm-hmm. Tiger Woods was like 15-0 when he was leading until, he lost one there at the end, and that's when his career kind of went haywire. But for the longest time, when he got the opportunity, he made it. Caitlin Clark hasn't got there yet. She's 0-2 in NCAA finals. And then 1 year where she, I think she took the Fever as far as they were supposed to go.
Yeah.
So, I wouldn't say it was a disappointing season. But now this year we're going to see how far they can go and how far she can take them because they have a team that should compete for the whole thing.
They should, yeah. And getting back to our original point, I guess, she's out a couple of weeks. Like I said, call it 6 games, whatever it's going to be. Yep. If they can just stay around 500, they're going to be fine because there's some really bad teams in the WNBA. Like you said, it'll be interesting to see what attendance, ticket sales, viewership, all that type of stuff, that'll come out here eventually. So we'll see. I guess my last thing is I think their CBA is up at the end of the year for the WNBA. And obviously, or I would assume, like the NFL, you have players that go in and negotiate, current or former. It would be kind of funny if Caitlin just said, good luck to you, all you. You go and do it. She wouldn't do that, of course. No. She's too good of a person, but it would be funny because when you are the face of the league, one of the most popular athletes in the world, you can demand some things and get them. Now, you're not going to get all of that.
That was my point, 5 minutes ago. Mm-hmm. After these 2 weeks, if everything plummets and then when she comes back, it goes right back up where it was. Hey, proof right here. It's no more speculation, no more anything. It is proof. When I play, it's this. When I don't play, it's this. I get this. She can do that. I don't think. Speaking of that logo commercial, it's on right now in the playoff game, and it's funny. So,
yeah, they're league negotiations. I don't pretend to know how it is like the NFL, but they better bring her to the table though. Whatever discussions are being had, they better bring her in the room because when you are the face of a league and one of the most popular athletes in the world, you can get a lot of stuff done. Like I said, you're not going to get everything, but you can get a lot more if she wasn't there though.
Yeah, no other player needs to be in that room, but she does. her and her representative, whoever that is. I mean, and whoever that is, and I think it is her parents are the number one, and then whoever they've hired to help her, we've said this multiple times, could not have done a better job.
Mm.
She's 24 years old, and overall, there has not been one misstep yet. There will be. It's life. We're all humans. But there has not been a misstep yet that I even remotely think of.
No, there hasn't been a misstep. Even though the people at ESPN try to create missteps
They try to make it. Even some of those comments, where she said, she's very lucky and she is a white woman from middle America that grew up in a very privileged household. That's true. Mm-hmm. It just is what it is. She can't help that. And people don't like that.
Well, it's not her fault, and she should never apologize for that, in my opinion. That's stuff that's out of her control. But no, it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. Like you said, the numbers, attendance, all that, it'll come out. And I don't know how anyone's going to argue it after this, especially when the Fever do play the Chicago Sky here in a few games. If that stadium's not packed and the TV ratings are low, that's going to kind of prove that Angel Reese was just full of crap, like we all knew she was. But I'm sure ESPN or someone will try to spin it in a different way how they can. But that's a longer discussion for another time, maybe.
Yeah, that is what it is, and it's unfortunate. That's my thing. But here is, and obviously she's a Hawkeye, and she'll always be a Hawkeye. But she is from West Des Moines, Iowa. She grew up here. She played AAU ball out of Ames, Iowa. Went to Iowa City. Is in Indianapolis now. She is a Midwestern girl that is making good. And that is, as Iowans, as local people, we are going to be all over that. Hailiburton is a Midwestern guy from just across the border in Oshkosh. Wisconsin, I believe. I think he went to the same high school actually as Jamie Pollard. A lot of Wisconsin connections to the Iowa State basketball program, and his dog's name is Ames. He supports Iowa State. Everything that I hear, that anytime there's money needed, he is one of the people that helps us, and we need him to keep making more and more money to keep funding Iowa State basketball, because he makes a lot of money. So, and it is crazy that, some of the biggest stories right now in the NFL and then the NBA are Iowa State Cyclones, and two of the best people. Families are great, support Iowa State, still love Iowa State even after their time is up, and Brock Purdy and Tyrese Hailiburton. And I think at one time they actually had the same class, which is kind of crazy to sit in. Signed, over $500 million worth of contracts, and they were sitting in a class in Ames, Iowa.
Yeah, those things are good for both of those guys right now. There's no doubt about it. I mean, they're both on top of the world. Brock Purdy signs the big deal. Hailiburton's going off in the playoffs. I mean, it's been an amazing month, I guess you'd call it, for the two Iowa State grads. And speaking of a league that knows how to make money, isn't insecure, and doesn't walk on eggshells, and isn't petty, the NFL. The WNBA could take notes on that. But anyway, they did approve that the NFL players are going to be allowed to play in the Olympics. Now, I don't know all the details yet. When I first read it, I was like, I don't really care, like not a big deal. But the more and more I listen to people talk about it, I think some of these NFL players are going to really take it seriously. I mean, it's a chance to win gold. It's never been there before in the Olympics for America. And obviously, I assume, like most people do, we should dominate, I would hope. But it'll be interesting because I think they get 10 players to be on the team, and you play 5-on-5. One person brought up, do you bring two quarterbacks or not? Because what if a guy gets hurt and you don't have a backup quarterback? Some people had Cooper DeJean on the team because defensive interceptions can be returned. I was telling Cody the other night, I was like, well, if Mahomes or Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen got hurt, you could throw Cooper in there. I'm sure he can throw the pigskin around a little bit.
Well, and that's the thing too. So this is some little bit of stuff that I've heard on the shows that I listen to. Is Harbaugh already said Lamar Jackson's not playing. So I do think some of these guys are not playing.
Mm-hmm.
One person per team is going to be eligible or nominated, whatever you want to say it. I'm going to guess it's not Patrick Mahomes. Maybe. I don't know.
Probably not, but
it's probably not going to be Justin Jefferson from the Vikings. That'll be really fun. And then right now, the U.S. is ranked number 1 in the world in flag football. And they have a team that goes around the world and plays, and there's a sanctioning body just like rugby or anything else. And I think the guy that's the quarterback right now for the team says, we're not just going to hand over, well, you may not want to, but if Patrick Mahomes says he wants to be the quarterback, guess who's the quarterback? Even if he's truly not better than you at flag football, NBC is going to dictate who's on that team a little bit. Which I still cannot fathom why NBC did not tell last year's Olympic women's basketball team to not have Caitlin Clark on the team. Shouldn't have to play, but put her on the team. I just can't fathom that NBC didn't do that.
You're exactly right. I mean, you would have thought they would have they probably did make a major push. Like, we want her. That was we did a whole podcast on that. I know. No, you're right. Even if Patrick Mahomes isn't technically a better flag football player than this, I can't think of his name now, but they will push for that. And the reason it passed so much is because the NFL owners know, even if they risk sending a guy that gets injured, we talk about all the time on here, they want to grow globally. They already own the domestic market.
Yep.
The next phase is, dominating the world. That's why we're seeing more and more games outside the United States. This is just another aspect of that. So yep. I'd have to think there will be some teams that say, hey, Lamar, you can't play, or Mahomes, Josh Allen, whoever it is, or right. Justin Jefferson. But I mean, these teams are going to have to offer up at least one player, right? So there's going to be some good players on the team. There's going to be some names on it. And I think it will be a bigger deal because, like I said, when I first saw it, I was like, yeah, Olympics, whatever, we'll dominate. But the more and more I've thought about it, I think there's going to be some NFL players that are going to be committed to it and really want to be on the team. It's kind of like
Garza,
the men's Olympic team for basketball.
Oh, yeah.
Those guys, I mean, that's something you grow up dreaming about. Obviously, young basketball players, they want to play in the NBA, and then they want to win a gold for America. This may turn into that a little bit, and I'm just interested to see how it plays out.
That Garza just scored for Minnesota. They're going to go down here, but yeah, it's all about marketing, and it's all about it will be interesting because I think Lamar Jackson is the prototype. That is who you want as your quarterback on a flag football team. He is that guy. Who else that may not be? Is Kyler Murray someone like that?
Yeah.
He would be a really good one. I can see him actually being the guy. Littles, yeah. If Lamar's not the guy, it could be a guy like Kyler Murray. Who would another Tyreek Hill? I think would be a great flag football guy. I think it's like a Cooper DeJean. I mean, I really think he is. I could see the Eagles offering him up. I mean,
yeah, I think if the Ravens have to offer someone up, I'd go Kyle Hamilton. They're all all safety guy, hybrid kind of a.
Yeah, he could go play receiver and flag football. I mean, those guys all can do it. I mean, I think that's what you want. It's just the super. Like, honestly, the best athletes on the field are the defensive backs, and it's not close. You ask any NFL guy, the best athletes are the DBs. So they are going to be the guys that are on the team, and they can turn around and go catch a ball. Travis Hunter is.
That's what I was just going to say. That's the most obvious one that we haven't mentioned yet.
I mean, that's who, and especially it's in 3 years or 4 years, or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. He's going to be a little bit established in the NFL. We'll find out if he's a superstar or not. But yeah, he is the guy.
He definitely is. I would think, I'd like to see Jahmyr Gibbs on the team, but I'm a huge Jahmyr Gibbs fan, as you know. in my opinion, I think he's the second best running back non-fantasy wise in the NFL. But I'm going to do a list of that coming up for football season. Top 10 quarterbacks, receivers, running backs, non-fantasy rankings. But I'll save that for another time. But yeah, Travis Hunter is the obvious one, of course, because he can play both ways. But I liked your pick of Kyler Murray. I was going to say Jaden Daniels, but Kyler Murray might be at that prime age, and especially if he doesn't make the playoffs with the Cardinals for a couple more years, that could be someone that he just takes the reins and be like, okay, I'll be the quarterback for the Olympic team. That's a good throw out that you had there, I think.
I just remember him in college. I mean, he was when he played Oklahoma, no one could touch him. A Baker Mayfield is that same type of quarterback. I mean, he's not as athletic, but he would be one heck of a gunslinger in flag football. I'd like. Can you imagine like a Brett Favre or Aaron Rodgers? Do they go with someone like that? Not those two guys, but an older quarterback that just stands back there and has a kick. Is Josh Allen the guy that just throw any pass?
You can't go wrong with anybody because, like I said, we're playing other countries that haven't really had football around for. I mean, I don't know, but I assume they haven't had football around a long time. So, I mean, you could probably throw a college quarterback in there or the guy that they have now. Like I said, I don't know his name, and we're probably
Jalen Milroe. I mean, he's that guy. He's that same guy. Tua would have been that guy. I mean, just it's
Milroe's. That's a good name that you just threw out too, because he may be a backup in 3 years. We don't know yet. And that may be a team that the Seahawks go, well, he's our backup. We have to nominate someone. We're okay with him going.
Right.
If he gets hurt, obviously that's worst case scenario. But yeah, Jalen Milroe is another good one. I kind of like that one too for underrated name.
He doesn't have to be the quarterback. I don't think.
Yeah.
I mean, he can go do other things. I mean, I think that's what you want. I think you want the flexibility and to go. I mean, you can't tell me that Jalen Milroe couldn't guard someone from Tokyo, Japan. I'm sure he could, because people forget when these guys were in high school, they played everywhere and just did everything. Like pitchers in Major League Baseball played shortstop growing up because they were the best athlete. They all probably caught at one time or another. Some of them started out as a major, they were going to be a third baseman, and then somebody thought that they could pitch, and all of a sudden they become a pitcher. They never really were a pitcher until they got to pro baseball. It's crazy what happens, and yeah, that will be interesting on who. Honestly, the most important or the most interesting thing of that whole thing might be who is each team's player.
Right.
I mean, that might be it's almost like a draft. Who's the guy?
That's what I was just thinking of, because they're going to have a selection show and do like a draft. Like, it'll be a big deal, right? I mean, the NFL draft's a big deal. They can make a big TV show out of this. It would be good. But you're right. I mean, Pat McAfee talks about all the time because he's a special teams guy.
Right.
So he says, he grew up obviously in the NFL playing special teams and all the different ones. He says some of these guys that play special teams, they were the best athletes in high school and college. And they played both ways, and they come in the NFL, the men's league, and they're lucky to be on special teams. So You're exactly right. I mean, Tyler Sash played both ways. He played everything: special teams, defense, offense, all these guys. So yeah, Jalen Milroe, all these others that you're naming, they played other positions growing up.
Well, when I was at Iowa State, Tony Elk was our kicker and punter. He was his high school quarterback. I mean, he was the best athlete in his town. He wasn't from a real big town, but he was the best athlete. He just happened to be good at kicking too. Sage Rosenfels was our quarterback, but he probably almost could have been our kicker and punter as well. Like a true, punt, pass, and kick contest. In his heyday at Iowa State, there wouldn't have been too many people better than him because he could kick it, he could punt it, and then obviously had the arm strength of an NFL quarterback. There was nobody better than him at that. I would have really liked to have seen someone beat him in those situations. I just want to shout out, we are up over 100 people watching, 101. That is awesome. We do appreciate it, and thank you.
Yeah, no, thanks everybody for watching. I think it's kind of all we had. Again, shout out to Sigourney, amazing golf season, and look forward to following Jordy for a few more years in high school to see how he does.
Yeah, it's that time of year, and all teachers and students enjoy your summer. Those of you that are watching and paying attention, stay safe though. You always hear about things. And here's what's crazy. It happens more than you think. This first week when people are having fun and goofing around, somebody breaks their arm or breaks their leg, doing something fun, and it's nothing, and it just ruins their summer, and that stinks. And they come back to school and they just got a cast off, or maybe they still have a cast on. 4th of July, or playing with my cousins on the trampoline. I broke my arm, and I got 2 more weeks left with it when they come back to school there at the end of August. But those are the fun times. And I mean, I broke my leg in 3rd grade. I still remember how I did it, who I did it with. It sucked, but it is what it is, and it's a good memory.
Yeah. Congrats to everybody graduating high school, of course. Enjoy the summer. Like you said, be safe. And we've got some stuff to keep us busy over the summer. And then obviously going into next year, like I said, paying attention to Sigourney Golf and some others out there.
Yeah, and then, obviously with Iowa State playing super early, so our football season is actually starting a week earlier with Iowa State playing that week 0 and going to be on ESPN. And, Lee Corso is not going to Ireland, but I'm sure they'll Zoom him in. And then I believe that next week is his final appearance or whatever on College Game Day. So, those first couple of weeks when he's still around are going to be super fun to watch because I'm sure there's going to – I mean, honestly, his last show should just be a 100% tribute to him. Talk 5 minutes on the game that he's at, and then obviously the headgear, and then everybody cries, and we move on. And that's – I mean, I will too. I mean, in yours and my lifetime, we don't know any different. It was always – Corso on College Game Day. And then Herb Street, I mean, I remember when he wasn't on there, but I wasn't very old. I think he joined 94, 95. So I was 15. 15 to 45 at Herb Street's been there. I mean, so whenever he decides to go, I mean, if he goes to 90-some, we might be dead too. But no, if he goes at normal retirement age or whatever, it's going to be a real sad deal. And I know media is changing and everything, but those shows still what made college football better than everything but the NFL, in my opinion. I mean, I know.
Yeah, no, that College Game Days, that's a real big deal in our lifetime. And Lee Corso is the Mel Kiper of that, right? I mean, he made it famous. Like we talked about Mel Kiper making the NFL draft famous. Lee Corso did that for College Game Day and college football. So it'll be a sad deal. I mean, and like you said, I agree. They should do like an entire episode to him that week. I think week 2 or whatever it is, or week 1. It should be all a dedication to him, 5 or 10 minutes of some games, whatever, but it should be looking back on fun memories and give him a final send off.
Yep. Give him, and Andy Fales is big on this. And I know we both watch Murph and Andy and Sound Off and have for years and years. And Andy Fales, when they left their show on the radio, and they're back on Iowa Everywhere, which is another great, network. All the shows are great, but Murph and Andy are great. 2 of the pillars in Central Iowa. Give someone their flowers when they're still alive. Tell them how much they mean to you. Tell them how important they are to you when they're still alive, not at the funeral, not when they're sick, in a hotel, in a, hospice house or something like that. Tell them you love them and tell them how much they mean to you when they're still 100%. When you're grilling out at Father's Day, tell your dad you love him. Okay. Things like that. And the older I've gotten, and this is sappy and everything, the older you get, the more you want to, you feel like you should do that, but do it when you're younger too. When you're 25 years old and you think your parents are still dumb, they're really not. And then when you get to 35, you figure it out. And now I'm at 45 and I've really figured it out. Yeah, they know what they're doing. We all make mistakes.
Yeah, when you're a kid, junior high, high school, you think parents, grandparents, what do they know? They're not cool. But when you get to be our age, you're like, yeah, they're pretty damn cool, actually. Yeah. So you appreciate them. But no, you're right. I mean, hopefully it's a good send off for him, and it's not too far away though. It's really not.
I think Iowa State plays football less than 100 days, which is crazy. But on Saturday morning, it's June 1st. I mean, that's.
And it doesn't feel like it outside, but yeah, it's almost June.
Nope. So, all right. Well, again, thanks everybody. And thanks, Trev. We're at 104 people watching. I cannot thank you guys enough, especially those of you on Twitter. That's where like 100 people are, 103 people on Twitter. So, or I guess X is what it is now. It's Twitter. But thank you very much. Steve Shetler Media on Thursday nights. I'll email this. It'll be on, about 7:00 there for about 15 minutes. If you didn't listen to the whole thing and you want to, any of your favorite podcast players, it'll be there. Morgan, he asked for a podcast. Just search it, subscribe, like it. It does help a lot. And it's kind of fun to see where everybody watches and listens, where we're at, where they're at. And it's fun. Thank you. This is always fun, Trev. And we'll figure out next week. It'll probably be Monday or Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Wednesday night I'm moving, just be honest. So it will not be Wednesday night. It'll be Monday or Tuesday night next week. So, all right, Trev, anything else?
Nope. Thanks for everybody for listening. I appreciate it. And everybody have a good night.
All right, awesome. Thank you very much. And we'll talk to you later, Trev.